Hey everyone, welcome to Thoughts in the Car. I'm Brett Basham. I'll be your driver on this journey. And what I thought we would do today was just kind of go through the background of who I am just a little bit. I know that's not really that important to a lot of people, but also what this is, why I'm doing it, and hopefully how it can benefit you. I've been kicking around this idea for probably 2 or 3 months, and I really wanted to make sure that I could do it really well. I really wanted to make sure, and you'll see why, because it holds a special place in my heart. And so I wanted to make sure that I could do it well. I wanted to make sure I was fully committed to doing it and not just have a harebrained idea that a week later was like, this is stupid, I'm not doing it anymore. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. So with that said, let's go ahead, hit the music, and let's get it going. First of all, before we get into the meat of the show, I wanted to note that we are practicing safe driving here. This is legal as far as the what you can have on the dash or what you can have on the window. So this is on the dash of the car, so we're good there. I want to promote safe driving, non-distracted driving. So let's get into kind of what this is, why we're doing it, and how it may be able to help you. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm kind of introverted by nature, and probably hearing myself talk is super annoying. There's one thing that I really wanted to do, and you're going to see why here in a few minutes, but I wanted to go through basically the who, what, where, when, why, how, so you really get an understanding of what we're trying to do here. So first of all, we'll start with the who. As I mentioned in the open, my name is Brett Basham. I'm just a regular dude. I've had some life experiences that I've been fortunate to go through as an athlete. I was fortunate to play Division I college baseball at Ole Miss. I was fortunate to play professional baseball with the San Diego Padres organization. I was drafted twice. I was drafted by the Padres and by the Chicago White Sox. And so I've had a unique experience there, both with playing collegiately and professionally. Secondly, I've had some good experiences as a coach. So as a college baseball coach, I've developed some leadership skills there and kind of seen how you lead people with unique personalities, unique backgrounds, things of that nature. And so I've gained some great experience there. And then transitioning into athletic administration, I worked in the University of Alabama athletic department for 4 years in leadership development, career and leadership development, but kind of really passionate about the leadership development side. Worked both with all of our 600 athletes and coaching staffs to develop their leadership skills. So that was a lot of fun, working directly with athletes and coaches. And then lastly, I've had a unique experience working with renowned clinical and sports psychologist, Dr. Brett McCabe, who I currently work with, who has really opened my mind and my eyes to the interconnection of performance improvement and how the mind sets the tone for that. No longer, I think, is the mental performance, the mental training, is that a corrective thing. I think now it's more so performance enhancing, and it's something you can do proactively to make sure that you're performing at your peak, to perform at your highest abilities. I think any athlete any high performer out there who trains the mental side and is in tune with how they perform, how they think, how they focus, how they manage stress and adversity, I think is going to perform at their best. And so that's what I really learned. And so blending all of those experiences, I feel like I have, some great stuff to share. And that's really who I am and kind of what I bring to the table, I guess. So number 2 is the what. Basically, what is this show? So the premise behind it was I wanted to do this, but I didn't know how. I didn't know the avenue. I felt like there were so many shows out there that, we're in a studio, we're kind of rehearsed and scripted, and which is great. I think those shows are really good. But also, like, where do people have their best thoughts? Like, where? And for me, it's really like the shower. Well, I'm not going to do a show in the shower, probably not good to upload to YouTube or like podcasts, so that's out. The shower, thoughts in the shower, I don't think would really go really well. Secondly, while you're on a walk or exercising, the last thing I want to do while I'm exercising or like walking is talking. That's like, I can't do it. I'm huffing and puffing. So I'm not going to do that. I don't think that will make for great content. So that was out. And then thirdly was in the car. And I take my daughter to school every morning. It's like a 20-minute drive. So it's 20 minutes from my house and 20 minutes back. And so I thought that's a perfect time on the way back was to kind of just get my thoughts. It's really my only quiet time of the day. It's really my only time that I get to compose my thoughts and get ready for the day. And so I thought that was the best time to do it. Number 3 is where. Obviously in the car, we don't need to go into any more of that. This is where it kind of gets a little bit heavy for me. So there's really 3 major reasons why I'm doing this. The first of which is to honor and promote a legacy. January 29th, 2021, I get a phone call, or I get an interaction really that kind of changed my life forever. I got my sister died unexpectedly on that day, and it was obviously it was the worst day of my life. And it was, as you can expect, a very difficult day, a very difficult process, because it wasn't expected. She was young, had her, what we thought was the whole life ahead of her, and it was just taken away like that. And my whole perspective has changed since that day. It probably for the better. I wish it didn't have to change, because I'd rather have my sister back. But the thing that I wanted to talk about was her legacy. She was a teacher, she was an educator, and she had a really unique ability to connect with young people. When she died, she was a second grade teacher in a low income elementary school, and for some of those kids, that was like the one thing that they look forward to every day. Some of them come from not a whole lot. Some of them come from really tough backgrounds and upbringings, really tough family lives. And she was like the one positive that they could look forward to every single day. She put her heart and soul into teaching. She really connected with those kids. And when she was taken from this earth, I think it really left a void kind of in some of those kids' lives. She was the best of us. She was the most selfless person I've ever met, as far as putting others before herself, putting others' interests, really took an interest in what other people were doing. She was the salt of the earth. She was as good as they come, and had her whole life ahead of her, and then just one day, unexpectedly, she was gone. And it's left a huge void in my life and my family's life. And I finally gotten to the point where, I'm able to talk about it, and I want to make sure that by doing this, she's kind of speaking through me. I'm able to continue her legacy in education, to try to educate more people, to try to connect with more people, to try to spread a little bit of positive energy, a little bit of grace, and just a little bit of laughter and joy, because that's really all we're looking for. And so I just want to keep her legacy going, keep telling her story, and making sure that people don't forget her and people don't, take life for granted. Number 2 is, for most of my adult life, I've struggled with anxiety. And I have a complicated relationship with anxiety because, one, I tried to fight it for so long that I thought it was just nerves. I get it a lot before, I played in baseball games or things like that. Some types of social situations would drive anxiety, but I thought it was just nerves, and I didn't know how to control them, or I was being overly nervous or things like that. But I learned later in my life that those were things that I couldn't really turn off, and they never really got any better. And so I've dealt with anxiety. I've dealt with kind of the symptoms, I guess, whether it be like always feeling like something's bad going to happen, like something bad is going to happen, like this feeling of impending doom, irritability, the lack of focus and lack of focused attention, where for instance, I could read a book or read a chapter of a book and get to the end and be like, I have no idea what I just read. Just not able to comprehend those things. And so schoolwork and stuff like that always took me so long to do because I couldn't comprehend what I was trying to study or what I was trying to do. And just things like that. I can go on and on, and I'll probably talk about that in later episodes. So the anxiety was something I've always dealt with, and I hope that I can share some tactics, some tools that I've utilized and I've got from other people, gotten from talking to some different psychologists and things that have helped me kind of redirect these thoughts, redirect the anxious feelings and whatnot, so that it just doesn't consume my life. And then third was, I've always been encouraged to journal, like physically write with a pen on a piece of paper my thoughts and just get them out of my head, which I think is important. To get your thoughts, whether positive or negative, get them out of your head and get them on paper, or get them out there, so you're not holding on to them and it's not, detrimental to your mental health and really your physical health. And so I have always struggled to do that. I would always just write, and it would just be like the most random stuff. And so I thought, by channeling that energy, I guess, into this and trying to form some coherent thoughts and get them out to different people and maybe try to help some people in the process, that in turn it would bring me some sort of self-gratification and positive energy for helping other people, because ultimately that's why I do what I do in my day-to-day life. But also I've always wanted to help people in some form or fashion, and so that's what I really wanted to do with this, why I started this. So those 3 reasons are the main 3, and then we'll kind of go into more detail, dovetailing off of those 3. But then the main topics I want to talk about, like what can you get from this, is, as I mentioned, we'll have some anxiety and my personal struggle with anxiety, and kind of how I wanted to fight it for so long. And when I learned to accept it and harness some of these different tactics to be able to harness it and to talk it out, or to channel the anxiety and the emotion, the better off I did with it, and the better off I was able to control it. I never fully have gotten rid of it. It's still something that I struggle with on a day-to-day basis. Some days are better than others. And then the worst thing, and I'll talk about this in a later episode, but the worst thing is about anxiety is other people that don't have it or haven't experienced it. It's hard. It's really, really difficult to explain, because people just don't understand. They don't have any gauge of how to. It's not the flu. It's not a cold. So they don't really, you don't really know how to explain it to them, and it's hard for them to grasp. And then we'll talk about, different leadership tactics, different leadership development, and I think leadership development and kind of personal development kind of intertwine. When I was working in leadership development, now working in from a psychology standpoint, kind of how the mind, and then the different things that you use to develop teams or develop people in your organization or whatever. I think that those kind of blend in a lot of areas, so we'll talk about that. Maybe try to add some humor in here. Some people think I can make some people laugh. Some people maybe think I'm just an idiot. Some people may think I'm a nerd. But one thing that I really have grasped in the last few years was that I'm starting to get to a point where I am like the most comfortable that I've ever been in my entire life just being me. I've always tried to play the comparison game, which probably led to my anxiety. Tried to play comparison to, well, that person, I need to be like that person, or I need to have that much money to be happy, or I need to drive that kind of car, or have that kind of house, or have those things, things that can be taken away. I thought I was like putting my identity in those things, which led to anxiety. And I've really become comfortable just being me, just living day to day. And that's what I hope. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that as well. They are too busy running other people's races. Just run your own race. And that's what I really want to get across to people as well, is to stay in your lane, respectfully, of course. Stay in your lane and run your race, because those other people, those things that you're comparing yourself to, they may have different starting points. Like someone may have started way ahead of you and you're starting back here, and that's just not a fair race. That's not an even race. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to that. Or, things of that nature where you have different starting points, different factors that play into different situations. And so I hope to get that across as well. I just pulled into my driveway, so I'm going to go inside, get the day started. I got my rocket fuel right here to get me going. But the one thing I want to leave you all with every day is, I think this is very important and I've experienced it firsthand, is take care of yourself, but also make sure that the people that are important in your life, you tell them that you love them every day, because you don't know when you're not going to have an opportunity to tell them that you love them. And so I want to leave that with you today. But until we talk again next time, tell those people in your life that you love them.